In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress, welcome to Souk News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souk News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souk News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souk News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souk News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions. We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
My name is Yinka Babalola.
My name is Ijoma Okoro.
My name is Joshua Hassan.
I am Rotarian or Sunday Lawson.
It's Ife Yunwarita Ejeze. My friends call me Ife.
My name is Rotarian Lola Dare.
I'm inviting you to keep watching Souk News. It's the right station to tune to.
I like Souk News. Souk News is good.
I want to charge you all to listen to Souk News, watch the news.
You can have unlimited news first time.
Find Souk News. Be with Souk News. Never switch off. You are better for it. Souk News is the real thing.
Listen to their coverage and you'll be glad you did.
Turn to your YouTube, turn to your Instagram, turn to all your digital channels and look for Souk News.
Keep watching.
Keep watching.
Please, guys, keep watching.
Souk News.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job. In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress, welcome to Souk News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souk News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souk News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souk News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souk News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
and welcome this beautiful Friday morning to Market Insights, and happy new month to you. It's the end of the week and the beginning of a new month. So during the week on Monday 26th February and Friday on Tuesday 27th February, the 293rd meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee took place at the Central Bank of Nigeria headquarters in Abuja. My guests speculated and made suggestions concerning what the committee should do to curb inflation and the foreign exchange rates. So on Wednesday, the committee released a policy communique to share the decisions they made at the meeting with the public. The Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, held a press conference to that effect and announced the increase in the monetary policy rate. It was raised from 18.75% to 22.75%. Now, the effect of this new interest rate on the economy, on commercial banks, small and medium enterprises, and the common man. In addition, we went further to discuss with an investment banker and a chartered stockbroker how the personal finances of the common man will be affected by the new interest rates, coupled with the rising inflation. Now, on the first day of a new month, the inflation situation is still affecting Nigerians, and everyone is looking for a way to protect their finances. So on today's show, I will discuss with my guests the opportunities and challenges with the high interest rates. So join us after the break.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome back. So, like I said earlier on, I will be discussing how these issues affect Nigerians. We've seen a lot of situations that people have posted on social media with people protesting in some cases, people rushing for food en masse in any situation or anywhere they can get food at cheaper prices. So today's show, I'm discussing with the Director for Policy and Research, Center for Public Policy, Mr. Sam Orowuji. Welcome to the show, Mr. Sam.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on Market Insight this morning, and happy new month to you. This outfit is a lovely outfit, really suits your skin tone.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, so I mentioned this new interest rates. We know a lot of small and medium enterprises might be affected by this because in the event they seek loans from banks, we know they'll also be affected by this situation. So do you foresee more economic cuts in smaller companies, like companies folding up? Do you foresee job losses for more Nigerians, in addition to the high inflation and also food inflation, which is not relenting at the moment? Your thoughts, Mr. Sam?
Thank you very much indeed. The Central Bank, in a few days ago, released what they call Circular 150 after the aftermath of the Monetary Policy Committee, MPC. They came up with some increase in terms of the MPRO, over 26.something%. So with this increase, there's a likelihood that the percentage will increase, and it will affect small and medium enterprise in terms of how they're able to operate. Then if you translate it to the common man or the average man on the street, it's going to be difficult because the cost of living is already high. So the CBN, with this new policy initiative, will have some implication while an attempt is being made to control the rate of the inflation and food inflation in particular. Then this portends some little danger for the common man on the street. But like I said elsewhere, it is too early in the day to make some judgment. Let's see how the market and the banks will react to this new policy initiative by the central bank. But I think that window in terms of lending is likely to affect us negatively. But then a committee that is made up of 12 men and whatever research data there was.
Women on that committee.
Yeah, when I use men, I just use in a generic sense. I'm gender sensitive, so don't worry. Men and women, to make you happy. Men and women. All right. So that it's too early in the day, and let's see how that manifests. Within another 26 days, another MPC meeting will take place.
This
and
month,
yeah, let's see how that review we see. But too early in the day to see how the market will react to it. But in terms of cost of fund, that will increase, and the bank will find a way to put other hidden charges in terms of their lending portfolio, which will be translated to consumers at the end of the day. So it's not uhuru yet with this policy option.
Well, well, yes, I totally share your thoughts on that matter. But we all know that we've heard during the week, we also heard the president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where he stated that he was going to implement a new report called the Orosanye report, in which he's going to cut down on the cost of government or governance, and he's also going to merge some ministries together, so we don't have too many government parastatals. Let everything be under one body, fewer of these ministries, so that we can actually manage the cost of governing Nigeria. Well, we haven't really seen these things being, apart from, yes, he mentioned he's going to implement it by merging ministries, but we are yet to see that. We also saw that during the inauguration yesterday of the Red Rail Line, the president was in Lagos State. We saw a lot of convoys attached to the president when he was coming in. And also, in addition to other things we've seen in governance, how they move on with large convoys. And we expect that this reduction in the cost of governance will also affect our federal government, in terms of the fact that they should also move on to using made in Nigerian vehicles, if I'm allowed to say that, instead of importing vehicles, so that we can have more circulation of the naira moving in the economy. So how do you think the federal government is going to create an enabling environment for Nigerians? Because over these few weeks, since last month till this new month, we have not seen any relenting of this new inflation. It's not going back. Prices keep moving up every day. What you hear on Monday is different from what you hear on Wednesday. What do you suggest that the federal government should do to create a more stabilizing environment for Nigerians, not just business-wise, but in terms of feeding, in terms of how you could purchase things that you need for your household every day?
I think the government has put a policy option in place in terms of how to reduce the size of governance. The committee has about 12 weeks to put that in place. So it's a welcome development where the cost of governance, not just in terms of the structure and the alignment or realignment of parastatals, agencies, ministries and departments of government. We must equally see that in the behavioral pattern of those who are in leadership, just beyond putting those ministries together. To what extent can the revenue that is saved from this restructuring or reform in the public sector can bring to government? And we did see that the money that was saved from the fuel subsidy is being translated to the share of money or revenue that accrued to state. But then we have not seen the impact. Some states had some rise in their allocation.
Yes, they mentioned putting palliatives to Nigerians. We've also
so let's see how those palliative work on the one hand. On the other hand, the government must be disciplined in terms of the way they conduct themselves. The money or revenues or the expenditure, public expenditure, must equally be minimized to such extent that when you go to the field to monitor the impact of the resources in terms of loan, in terms of revenue, those who are involved in monitoring and evaluation always say there's a difference of between 60 and 40% in terms of performance. So what happened to that 60%? So the issues of corruption, the institutional reform must be seen so that whatever savings that the government is making, it should impart on citizens directly. So it's beyond making public statement, public policy statement. So those policy statements must translate into reality and see how those savings that are made can impart on citizens. On the other hand, the government must find a way to see how lending can be reduced to a one-digit figure so that that can benefit small and medium enterprise, which are the real engine of growth, which are the real enabler, which are the facilitator in terms of how economic activities can enhance productivity. Once that's happened, then the government can increase in their revenue in terms of the tax that they will get from these small and medium enterprises, because they are really the major driver of the economy. So if you're able to manage those policy options, then over time, then the cost of living will reduce tremendously. Then we're able to see that the banks equally lend to the real sector so that it can energize the economy for sustainable development and growth.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yes, the government has to be more accountable to the people. They need to also, in the future, hopefully we can reduce this inflation to be a single-digit inflation, hopefully. And government actually needs to put in not just talking, but there should be an action. We need to see more government officials reducing the cost of governance. We need to actually see that physical things going on. But in recent times, there have been arguments both for and against this increase in the interest rates. Some people have said, yes, it will help to curb inflation. Other people have said, no, it would not help. I just want to know your thoughts on this. Do you really think the central bank's monitoring policy committee's decision to actually increase the interest rate, do you really think, are you for or against this argument that it will curb inflation or it will not curb inflation?
That's a bit a tricky question, but I will attempt it from this way. Whether the committee circular in terms of the monetary policy rate, in terms of cash reserve ratios, in terms of liquidity ratio, and all those policy options. What is important beyond those statements is that the government, particularly the central bank, on the monetary side, must find a way to supervise the banks so that some of those infractions, particularly from foreign exchange rascality, permit my word, that has taken place in the last 10 years in that sector will be minimized. So, in addition, the bank must be supervised thoroughly, and once there are infraction into some of these monetary policy options, the banks should be penalized in a way that to serve as deterrent to some other banks. That will help in trying to see how we can manage. On the fiscal side, the government will find a way to see how multiple taxation and some of those leakages on the side of the government are blocked so that they can translate into savings and revenue from the government. So if we have a balance on the fiscal side, taxation, then on the other hand, the social intervention, which the government has promised, and they appropriately get to the right people in the communities, that will help to foster those challenges. So the dysfunction in the foreign exchange market in particular, particularly our dependence on import, must equally be looked at, so that if we don't depend so much on imported item, we're able to free some money in terms of foreign exchange, and we consume made in Nigerian products so that we can reflate the economy and everybody can benefit. Then inflation can come down, the cost of living can reduce. So it has to be holistic. The citizen has the responsibility in trying to do what I call citizen diplomacy, a kind of public advocacy engagement from civil society groups, a community-based association to put the government in check. Transparency, accountability, which you mentioned earlier, they are critical to good governance.
Okay, yes, yes, Mr. Sam is still here with me. He has definitely given us some very important points as to how these new directives can actually benefit the common man that we see today. We have seen videos of people protesting, people actually, if there's a situation where we also saw recently the video at the Nigerian Customs office at Yaba, where some people were trampled upon in a stampede in the rush to get basic commodities like rice. So we know for the common Nigerian on the streets, it's quite a difficult period for them right now with this inflation and with, in some cases, with the scarcity of certain food items that we actually need. It's really affecting us. So yes, we have seen that the federal government keeps every now and then, they keep coming up with new directives, new measures to actually curb this situation, release grains from the storage, reduce the cost of it, patronize, like my guest rightfully said, made in Nigeria food products. Let's improve our local production also. But in terms of fiscal policy, we're talking about our roads, the situation with insecurity, which has been on for years right now, and also how it's affecting farmers' outputs, their production outputs actually. How do we actually solve this matter? If you can actually give us your thoughts on this, Mr. Sam, because over the past few years, insecurity has been a major challenge for us in Nigeria. Farmers have been complaining about, there's the headers crisis, there's also the kidnapping issues going on, and apart from that, the bad roads, some local food producers have complained about how long it takes them on journeys moving from northern Nigeria to the southern parts of the country, and we've been appealing to our government to repair these roads to avoid these types of situations, because it's heavy losses to the producers of these foods and also to the end consumers who can't get these items when they need it the most. It's also a big loss to them too. So what can you actually, if you can just give us your thoughts on this, Mr. Sam?
All right, there's a direct relationship between conflict and poverty and unemployment. So the case of security and insecurity has had negative impact in terms of our food security. Farmers, particularly in the north, don't have access to their farm. So if you cannot cultivate, you cannot get a yield, and you cannot bring food to the market. So what the government needs to do is to look at the security architecture, always called security sector reform, SSR, where you think about how you can look at the entire security sector throughput, looking at police, looking at judicial reform, looking at armed forces reforms, so that some of the drivers of conflict, particularly poverty, in the north, lack of access to education are addressed. So once you're able to reduce that, that will help, because a higher level of education will reduce the level of people that can be recruited into terrorism, yes, into kidnapping, into banditry. So we need to do a thorough security sector reform, SSR. The justice administration system must be improved upon as well, where people can be brought to justice, particularly criminal gangs, yes, that are in contention with the state. Once you're able to bring people to book, then you reform the security sector in a way that poverty, insecurity are addressed. Then you're able to have more people being productive. People can access their farm. So once that productivity is enhanced, that will increase the economic output, in addition to the general national productivity. Yes. Then food security will be sustained and everybody will be better for it.
Yes, yes. I also want to mention that the president also talked about state governments having the right to have their own security, because insecurity in our different states has been going on for a very long time. This insecurity factor is something that has really affected Nigerians, especially our farmers who keep complaining of how they have been attacked on their farms. So we know, yes, the president also approved the use of forest rangers to combat insecurity and banditry on in the forest, and also to provide security to farmers also. But do we actually need to look at the local governments also creating their own setup for security, actually? Because insecurity is something that if it's not effectively curbed, it will actually affect us more in terms of our food production. And we are looking at Nigeria being able to sufficiently feed itself before we can start exporting food items. So if we can't achieve this by actually improving on our food production as a nation, it's not going to be possible for us to export food. And this food exportation will also help us to not so depend all the time on our oil reserves and oil and gas reserves, because we know we're not really looking at, there are some predictions of oil drying up in a few years' time. Some climate observers have also predicted that with some natural resources. So we have to also look away from dependency on oil to our agricultural sector, and insecurity is something that has been a very big challenge there. Yes, I know that the government has provided these items for us in the past, but your thoughts on this, please, Mr. Sam, as a researcher, how do we actually combat this? Because your suggestions will go a long way for this.
I think the government had, I think, a Council of State meeting recently.
Yes.
When there's a proposal for state policing. I think we've been on this trajectory for too long a time because of the politics of it. First and foremost, less the subnational government, the state and the local government be up and doing in this regard. It's open, so let's find a way how they can recalibrate some of the civil defense mechanism, what they call vigilante in the state, how they can reform them and form a proper policing system. Then that again will enhance the territorial dimension of the state. That's federalism, where there's a devolution of power between the center and the subnational to have different responsibilities. So this political fear that governors, local government chairmen will use the state or local government police to their own advantage, I don't share in that sentiment. Let them have their own policing, see how they can provide additional intelligence to see how we can nip this danger of terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, because if we don't do that, the state cannot function appropriately. And the challenge in terms of the cost of living, the insecurity will continue to fester. But the subnational government must look at this window that is now open and see how they can address this issue. We equally want the subnational government to be creative, to be innovative in terms of the governance architecture that they run at the state, rather than just to run to Abuja and go and share some money, and when those money comes, they feel so big, and that does not impact on the citizens. So they must be creatively thinking of their factor endowment. What are the resource endowment that are peculiar to the state that can be exploited through a PP arrangement, private-public sector arrangement that will sustain the revenue profile of each of the states. We have what it takes as a country, but the challenge, even though there's a debate that leadership is not a problem, leadership is really a problem, even the followership has a responsibility. Let's see the state government rolling their sleeves and go to work for their people and find a way of providing employment based on the endowment, the resources beyond the oil and gas that everybody is depending on, and they just feel good and go to Abuja as big boys. When they come back, they share the money among their cronies, and at the end of the day, they cry again that their states, the and not the chief security officer. Now the window is there. Let them cash in on that moment and see how they can improve so that it's better for the citizens.
Yes, okay, yes. Thank you for that, Mr. Sam. Yes, I'm still here with my guest, Mr. Sam, who is the Director for Policy Research at the Center for Public Policy. And we're actually looking at everything that went on in this current week from Monday till today, and how the interest rates by the Central Bank of Nigeria, how it's going to be affecting the common man on the streets and also affecting small and medium enterprises. So join us after the break as we delve further into how people can go into investments that they can actually be protected from inflation. We'll continue after the break. Stay tuned.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Sook News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Sook News.
So I'm happy that Sook TV has come into existence.
I'm happy to be here in the Sook News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Sook News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Sook News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Sook News.
Keep watching Sook News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching Sook News.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome back. So before we went on break, I was discussing with Mr. Sam, who is the Director for Policy Research at the Center for Public Policy, and he was sharing his thoughts with us on how we can actually curb, how we can survive as a people during this situation, this inflation situation, and how we can also survive this high interest rates that the Central Bank of Nigeria has just approved. So just before you leave, Mr. Sam, I just wanted to ask you, like, what kind of, for example, if I was, let me just say, if I was just a new staff at a new company, having graduated from university recently, and I was badly hit by this inflation and my salary is not helping at all. Now, what kind of investments will you suggest for me to keep up with this new inflation in the country?
You're talking about survival first. So
yes, yes, I am.
You're not surviving, you're talking about investment.
Yes.
I think what is important is for you to survive in an uncertain environment. Yes. Survival is number one. So after that, we can be looking at investment options. So maybe when we have the opportunity, or when your next guest come in, you can look at some other investment portfolio. Okay. But for me, I would advise as a fresh graduate, survive first before you think of investment, in my view.
Okay, so that's the first thing for any new person coming up right now in this economy. Survive first of all. Get your financial orders, your personal finance in order. Like my guest yesterday said, let's save first before we start spending. So thank you for joining us this morning, Mr. Sam. It was a great pleasure having you on Market Insight this morning. Let's take a short break right now. We'll be back after these messages.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job. In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to Souk News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souk News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souk News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souk News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souk News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions. We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas touch and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
Welcome back. Now, yes, joining me also to discuss further on the week in review, everything that happened in the country during this week, economically that is, and everything that affected Nigeria. So the most common, or rather the most popular thing, was the decision by the Central Bank of Nigeria after they had their Monetary Policy Committee meeting, and how they have increased the interest rate from 18.75% to 22.75%. So right now in the studios, I have a guest with me. His name is Dr. Oluseyi Ajuwon. He's an economics lecturer at University of Lagos. He's also a research fellow at the Nigerian-China Institute of Development, and he's also a lecturer at University of Lagos. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, we're happy to have you at Market Insight this morning. So, rather, I was discussing a few of these things with my previous guest. So now that you have joined us, actually, we have heard how this new interest rate is supposed to improve on the inflation situation, to somewhat curb it, if I'm allowed to say that, to an extent. So, but we know in the long term, the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Cardoso, also said that he hopes that the inflation will actually reduce in the country. But we're actually looking at how this situation, how it affects the common man in the country in terms of purchasing of personal items, in terms of scarcity. How can the common man be affected by this? Yes, we've heard with the new interest rate, it can curb inflation. Banks will actually increase their capital, their loans when you actually go to them for a loan. And if a small business owner went to the bank, for example, to request for a loan for business, it's not going to be very convenient. Don't you think this new interest rate benefits more of the elites in the society than the common man who is still struggling to put food on his table? Your thoughts, Dr. Ajua?
Actually, when you understand the situation of things in the country now, then you will understand and appreciate what the Central Bank of Nigeria is actually doing. We all knew what happened during the last regime of our former president. They went into money printing, and we all know the means and ways running into trillions of naira. So there is so much liquidity in the economy, and that is what is actually jacking up the price of things in the country. And unfortunately, we the masses, the common man, we are also not helping ourselves at all, because now we are pegging everything to dollars as if dollar is our currency. And, it's unfortunate, because, when you go to the market and you are looking at commodity that has nothing, to do with dollars, everybody will be telling you, because the price of dollar had gone up, so those prices too must go up. You ask yourself, what does yam got to do with dollars? Exactly. What does gari got to do with dollars? But you see, the prices of all those things have gone up. And, we, the masses, we are not even helping ourselves at all.
If I just add this, sorry for interrupting you. This situation has also been blamed on rates like our high tax tariffs, energy, also the cost of running diesel to produce certain items. For example, something that everybody, mostly the average Nigerian citizen, uses, pure water. A bag in some cases is going for as high as 500 naira and 600 naira. And then you begin to wonder, like, what is involved in the cost of production? And then they tell you, oh, the price of diesel is really high, and then they have to use diesel to power their machines to be able to seal the sachet to make this pure water. So I still think that this is also affecting them. Yes, we might say you're not importing these machines, but energy is something that every Nigerian business uses every day. So it's
we are still saying the same thing. If you are talking about pure water, you are saying pure water, they made use of diesel to power their, which is making,
because we don't have
and
lights.
there is no electricity. For more than a month now, I've not been sleeping well, because the supply of electricity to where I'm living is almost zero. So it's understandable if the price of pure water is rising, but when the price of yam, price of gari, price of cocoyam, price of sweet potato, that has nothing to do with diesel or whatever is rising, then we are the one doing that to ourselves. Palm oil, you don't need diesel to produce palm oil. We don't need, although we know that we need diesel to transport them from wherever they are to where it's going. But that cannot be increasing the price by 100%, 200%. So you have to agree with me when it comes to that you can't tell me that because the price of diesel to transport the goods from wherever it is to wherever it's going is what is making yam to be 200, 300%, rise in the price. So we are the one that is actually dealing with ourselves when it comes to that. And when you critically assess that, we will know that it is the middlemen. For instance, I've heard that in Lagos, once the trailer arrived, the middleman will just pay the trailer, and by the time they start supplying it, you realize that the price of the commodity would have been more than double. So these are areas that government needs to look at. That how can the commodity come all the way from north? Let's say a truck load of yam is 2 million naira. By the time it gets to Lagos, from that time to when it will now go to the people that will sell it, it would have changed to 6 million naira. I think government needs to pay attention to that to ensure that the middlemen are not robbing the masses unjustly. I have a friend that was telling me that he has somebody like that living in his neighborhood, and the guy is just building and building. So if everybody is suffering and some people think that this is the right time for them to be exploiting others, government needs to take a look at that and ensure that that sharp practices is curtailed.
So it's just, you believe this is a case of man's inhumanity to man, this current situation, and not the high government policies that we've seen in recent times? Because don't you think this is more elitist, actually, this high interest rate? It benefits the rich in the society than the common Nigerian? Because if a new person, a new business owner wants to expand his or her business, wants to actually pay salaries and needs the services of a financial institution to do this, and then they tell you, oh, we have increased our interest rates to maybe 26%, how does a new business survive? Wouldn't this lead to more job losses for people in businesses? Doctor?
You see, in economics, we said there is a trade-off between inflation and unemployment. So it's either you are facing unemployment and you don't bother about the inflation, or you face inflation and you don't bother about unemployment. But the way things are, we all know that unemployment is actually the #1 problem in this country. And, it's better to face unemployment far more than the inflation. But the level of inflation that we have now, we've gotten to a position where government can't just say, oh, it is unemployment that is a major issue, and leave inflation unabated, not controlling it. Because the way the level of inflation is now, it has completely discouraged any form of investment or any form of long-term planning. Because you go to the market now, they tell you the price of something is this. I'm telling you, within that same day, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, you get to the market, they can tell you the price has changed. So it's really, it's really problematic that government cannot fold their hands and, just watching it the way it is. And when you are saying that the interest rates, let me encourage you how interest rates actually have, to curtail the excess money in supply. The problem that is, we always say that inflation is all about too much money in circulation. And the way to go about that is to actually increase the interest rates, also increase, the bank deposit rates. And, those are, I was in a forum where we were talking about, the open market operation as a way of curtailing, the excess money. But eventually I was, educated to understand that going through using open market operation to curtail the excess liquidity in the economy is as well increasing in the near future. So it is not ideal to make use of open market operation because, by the time you are paying the money back with the interest, you are actually increasing the quantity of money in the economy, which is what, So eventually, at the end of our debate, what we agree on is that, one, the government should stop printing of the money. They should, at least stop the increase in the supply of money as the first, instance to take. So this issue of interest rate is a way of narrowing down, the excess money, because definitely if you want to go into any investment and you realize that the interest rate being given will not be profitable for the venture you are going in, it will discourage you from going into it. And, the real issue, when you are saying that it will benefit the elite, I look at it, I can't see any way it's benefiting the elite. Because when you look at it in Nigeria, the savings rates and the inflation is always higher than the savings rate. So to save is a culture. It's not because of the interest rate, because if it is interest rate, it's always negative. So if the real rate is negative, so how is it benefiting the elite? It's not benefiting the elite.
In terms of if they want to get a loan.
But if they want to get a loan, they too are getting it at the same rate. They can't get it at any lower rate than, because the commercial banks that want to give money, we have to give it at a rate higher than what the central bank is setting. So they too, we are all entering the market and, buying, and that's the cost of, actually demanding for interest rates. So it's not benefiting anybody. If at all there's anybody that is benefiting, then you will say the financial institutions are the one, you know, that can reap the benefit. But in a place, in a situation where the inflation rate is higher than the interest rate, you ask yourself, is anybody benefiting? So, you know, the issue at hand now is to actually ensure that the inflation is brought to a manageable level.
A manageable level, perhaps maybe if we are lucky, a single digit level. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Ajuwon. Thank you for joining us this morning on Market Insights. Actually, we do appreciate your coming here. Dr. Ajuwon is an economics lecturer at University of Lagos, and he is also a research fellow at the Institute of Nigeria-China Development. Let's take a look at the parallel markets and the official market rates this morning. Coming in this morning, we want to look at everything from the whole week, from Monday till today. So we're going to look at that briefly. And yes, we've also noticed that in recent times, the rates have been fluctuating. We've had some days, we've had the CBN rates higher than the parallel market rates. In some other days, we've had the parallel market rates higher than the CBN rates. So on Monday, we had the Naira was actually selling the dollar at 1,662 Naira. This is the Central Bank of Nigeria rates. And the parallel market was actually selling the dollar at 1,700 Naira. Now the difference there, actually, the parallel market was higher than the Central Bank of Nigerian rates, just by 38 Naira. Then on Tuesday, we had the Central Bank of Nigeria was selling the Naira for the dollar at 1,499 Naira, and the parallel market was selling it at 1,530 Naira, a difference of 31 Naira. So that was also the difference there on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we noticed that the Central Bank of Nigeria rate was higher, which was selling for 1,670 Naira for the dollar and 1,610 Naira at the parallel market. So surprisingly, the Central Bank of Nigeria rates went up, and on Thursday it was selling for 1,491 Naira at the Central Bank of Nigeria, and at the parallel market selling for 1,450 Naira. So this shows a downward and upward movement actually for the rates. Actually, it didn't stay going up continuously. It kept moving up on some days, moving down on some days. And today, Friday, we had that on Thursday, the central bank rates were higher than the parallel market rates. But on Friday, we had that the CBN rate selling the dollar at 1,450 Naira and selling the Naira at the parallel market was going for 1,510 Naira. So this means that it was higher at the parallel